So we chose the word career resilience very specifically. A young person of today is very, very likely actually to live up to 100 years of age. So then what are the different kinds of assets in this new asset class called transitionary assets that we need to build up in order to see us through and power us through these different transitions over the course of our life? What will hold us constant and hold us, give us an anchor and create meaning and coherence will actually be this sense of self. Because without this, right, then I think the experience might become one of being very much led by the changes, and then you feel a loss of control, as opposed to I am the one in control. I have a sense of agency, and I am actively navigating the changes, even as the circumstances around me are very uncertain. And so although this term is called future focus, I think it contains within it a polarity in and as of itself, because we talk about how a clear sense of purpose and agency is grounded not just in a clear vision which lies in the future, but it also is grounded in actionable goals and objectives, which is something that happens in the now. And I think a future-focused perspective is one that is simultaneously building for the future, even as we make the most of our opportunities now. So before, I kind of used to think of adaptability as kind of how we adjust to an external situation, right? But now, rather than seeing what the external situation is and how we can add value to that. Here, I think adaptability kind of has two dimensions. One is kind of understanding yourself, which we kind of have put here as the dimension around identity. And also at the same time, scanning your external environment to see what is of relevance / value. Okay, so in a sense, the two is a tension that we often hear with the young people who come to us when they are kind of looking for what's next, right? And this tension sometimes can sound like the very popular passion versus pragmatism, right? Do I do something I'm really passionate about, or do I do something that's practical, money and stability-wise? In the course of our exploring this issue, right, we found that actually skills is the thing that's in the middle linking identity and relevance, right? So why is that the case? Skills is the bridge to relevance, because skills is actually what employers pay for, right? So in a sense, when you have the skills, that is how you bring up your value in order to be of relevance to potential employers, right? So that is very important. But however, we find that having just that is not enough, right? Because we find that if you have a strong sense of identity, then you also have a greater ability to reinterpret your skills. If I'm 100% just developing my skills based on what is needed and is very externally driven, given the industries change so fast, right, I might find my skills getting obsolete very soon. So in a sense, identity is that self-knowledge is number one. I think what helps you to understand what new skills you want to build to form your portfolio. And number two, also help you to be more creative in reinterpreting how you can apply your skills in ways. Basically, our proposition here is that if you can align identity, skills, and relevance, then it's kind of a high coherence. And so if you have a sheet like this for them to fill up, right, you can see basically kind of where they're already sort of okay and ahead. But this also maybe gives you a conversation framework for what else they might need to be looking at. This factor around influence that we're talking about is actually how we build up towards a diversity of networks that are relevant. With that, right, I think it can be easy, right, to say that, hey, go out and network, go out and network. I think what we have here is actually how we can get to a more purposeful, and therefore maybe people become more motivated to network. Okay, so in this sense, we kind of want to show you this other tool that we use. What we find is that this tool helps the student, participant, or whoever to help to get to the question at the correct level. So by correct level, what I mean is that when someone comes in and tells us that, oh, I am unhappy and I want to have a happier life at work, right? That is kind of a very, very, very broad question, right? That actually it is very hard for us to make advancements on. At the same time, if they come to us with a very, very, very narrow and specific question, which is, I went into the finance sector working in such and such company, right? Then again, it is not a question that is open enough for us to apply the design thinking process to. In this process, what we find is that what is needed is to get the question to a appropriate level that can actually generate some insight and then some forward movement. And risk-taking, I think, actually has two components, right? So the first part is actually with regard to expanding our mind and our boundaries beyond what we normally already operate in, right? Because if we are looking for solutions that are beyond what we already have, then naturally I think it means that we have to expand our options and our ideas beyond those that are already currently within our reach. And secondly is actually then the taking action part lah. Yeah. So this is where you put your stake out in the real world, right? And doing a prototype is very much that, right? Because you're having a conversation with somebody and you are taking an online course to see how your response is like, right? And you are interacting, you're taking what you're imagining in your mind and you're interacting with the real world so that it can give you some feedback. And then that can then evolve the way that you're thinking for certain things. I think sometimes we kind of think of the world as you are a risk taker or you're not a risk taker, right? If risk is very scary because it's full of unknowns, prototypes actually help you to reduce the unknown factor and therefore make risk taking a lot more manageable. So that's kind of how I would see risk taking in the context of prototypes and how prototypes can basically make everyone a suitable risk taker in that sense.